Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is your good brother, J News, with another rendition of J News Japan. I'm going to start this off the correct way this week. I have my good brother, SP3, with me here, joining me for this Sengoku Lord review. Always want to mention to you to continue to like, share, comment, and subscribe here to the True Heel Heat YouTube channel. You get all your news, your information, your reviews, your countdowns, your belligerent talk about professional wrestling at its best. We cover it all. I think SP3 said we cover the WWE, we cover Impact, we cover ROH. Obviously, you're here watching New Japan Pro Wrestling from J News and SP3. We cover New Japan. We cover it all. Once the UK stuff comes back, look out for that stuff as well. So
we got our UK subscribers for sure.
Yes, so we'll be doing that as well. But always make sure to stay tuned to the True Heel Heat YouTube channel. We were chatting it up a bit via text, Sid, and we found out we have a little bit of a difference in opinion about a certain announcer. So we'll touch on that later.
I think we should address it at the top of the show because we basically experienced this show in different ways.
Yes, we did. All right. So to explain to our viewers as to what's going on. So since lockdown, since New Japan's come back on New Japan World, I've been watching every single thing outside of Lions Break Collision in Japanese commentary. I've grown to have a great affinity for Japanese commentary because of the passion and the emotional responses, and it gets you into these matches. SP hit me up today. We were talking about when to get together to do this, and he said to me, he was like, "Oh, I just saw that English commentary was on for Sengoku Lord. Thank God. I miss Kevin Kelly." And I tell Sid, I'm like, "Man, honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of Kevin Kelly."
You did not say you're not the biggest fan of Kevin Kelly.
He's
you
not
literally
one of my favorite announcers. That's what I said.
You said your least favorite announcer. Like that is an extreme. That is too much of an extreme for this man that is bringing us together. He's bringing us from a different region, and he's interpreting what's going on.
He's bridging the gap. Now I don't have anything against the man personally. Obviously, I don't know Kevin Kelly like that, but the general thought process is I've been listening to Kevin Kelly for 20 plus years, and every time I listen to him, and I don't know if it's just style wise or if it's the tone or whatever, I always feel like he's so blasé with how he's explaining certain things, and it doesn't necessarily get me into the match. Like I always looked forward to when we would go to ROH shows instead of watching them on TV. It was a better experience.
That's so harsh. I will say during his time as the Ring of Honor lead announcer, yes, it was kind of a process to get used to him. But I say that the real turning point for Kevin Kelly was around G1 Climax 28, I want to say, and the whole story of Takahashi through that tournament. Kevin Kelly became one of the best announcers in professional wrestling because he's able to tell these individual stories as well as rivalry stories as well as feud stories, and we'll get to it when we get to like the main event. His little additions and the little things that he said after the main event was just like, yes, exactly what I've been wondering this whole entire time. Like, why? Like, probably the Japanese announcers are saying it, but I can't understand it. I can't interpret it. So to have someone who's interpreting my thoughts, that's why I like Kevin Kelly, especially watching New Japan. He says a lot of the thoughts of the viewer because he's a fan. You could tell he's a fan with the passion in his voice. His passion is there a lot more than it ever was as a backstage interviewer in WWE.
Yeah, I think like when we spoke earlier and you texted me about him being one of your favorite announcers and stuff like that, I flipped over to the English commentary just for the last match, just to see if I felt any different. And I heard passion in his voice, and I heard like the inflection and stuff like that. And I was like, well, I'm not used to this. I just saw Lions Break Collision. It was regular Kevin Kelly on Lions Break Collision. So I was like, this is. It was just a toss up, just because I'm so used to listening to Kevin Kelly that way. And he was doing a solo. So
yeah.
For fans who've been watching wrestling for a long period of time, like me and you have, the last time I heard anyone go solo was Joey Styles. So
yeah,
for me to listen to Kevin Kelly solo, I'm so used to listening to him with Gino and Chris on the mic, and I think because he was solo, he felt he had to put more into what the show was. So I think not to take anything away from Gino Gambino and Chris, but it's like maybe they should let Kevin Kelly go solo a little bit more, because he sounded more impassioned about what was going on. It was more of a selling job during the play-by-play than just doing the play-by-play, if you understand what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would say like there was a lot more effort in him to kind of express the passion and what's going on in the match and the emotions of the match more than it is when he's with somebody else. Honestly, to me, I've never been that big of a fan of his team with Chris Harrington and Gino, but him and Rocky Romero is one of my favorite commentary teams, and him and Don Callis I would put up against any ring announced team in the business.
Him and Don were always good, especially when they were doing when Bullet Club was at its height, right? Yes. When he was still there and everything in between. Him and Don did a good job then, but being that I just heard him so much between ROH and New Japan stuff, and it's like, man, does Kevin still have it in him? You know, does he still have the passion sometimes? And the majority of the time, it's like he's just narrating, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, dude, let me switch over to the Japanese. And you don't understand what the hell's going on in the Japanese language, but you feel it though, right? You feel it through the screen, you feel it through the audio. One of my favorite announcers, even though I don't get to listen to him too much now, Matt Striker is amazing to me, bro. Like the way Matt Striker does commentary. The way because he's a nerd, dude. So the way he narrates and he describes, and then he puts his feelings into everything because he used to be a worker and a wrestler and stuff like that. Matt Striker is amazing to me. I'm forgetting his name right now. The guy from NWA.
Joe Galley. Joe
Galley's pretty good.
Yeah,
I like Joe Galley. And I'm just talking strictly play-by-play and stuff like that. Because I think color is one of those things where, not that anybody can do it, because obviously there's guys who are better than others.
Yeah.
But you're a character doing color. You know what I'm saying? So they usually put high-end character guys behind the mic doing color stuff or whatever. Like Corey Graves is really good. The King was good in his day.
And even Corey Graves, he kind of lost it. He kind of lost it over the last couple of years with the ears, with the people in his ear and stuff. But yeah, I agree with you. Like color commentary is a little bit easier because you can kind of play a role. You can be like Don Callis in the Bullet Club days was the Bullet Club announcer and big on Kenny Omega and that type of stuff. And even like today, color commentary, you have Don Callis on Impact, and he does great with like playing up the heels and stuff like that. So everyone is gonna have their kind of thing, but I would agree with you. Play-by-play is a lot harder, and I feel like Kevin Kelly is put it all together. And I agree with Matt Striker as well. He's another guy that I felt in WWE he was too structured or too like bogged down and put into a box. And then when you heard him on Lucha Underground, it was like, wow, like this guy is actually passionate about the product. He's selling me on what's going on, and it's making me get more into the product. And that's what the play-by-play guys should do.
I completely agree there. I think that's what they should do. I remember Matt Striker's work on WCPW as well.
Yeah.
When he had turns with Wade Barrett, with Stu Bennett. Sorry, times, and he was doing the same thing. And he was never in the arena. He was doing it from home, and he would just watch. And it'd be one of those things. And it's like, man, Matt Striker turned into one of those guys that it's like, yo, I want to listen to him anytime a wrestling show's on. And like you said, Lucha Underground, I was, you go back. It was like Lucha Underground was one of my favorite wrestling entities as a show. The first three seasons, him him and Vamp made it, man. If it wasn't for him and Vamp, I think the show wouldn't have been as good. Obviously, the action and the crowd added to it, obviously, duh. But like Vamp, not seeing Vamp for like over a decade and then seeing him behind a desk, I was like, oh, how is this gonna go? First show, right out the chute, bro. Right out the chute. So, you know, to say that, I think that I'm still gonna listen to the Japanese stuff. Off the cusp, that I just want to listen to them go crazy on the audio and whatnot. Dude, they oversell superplexes, and I'm there like, oh shit, like that shit is crazy. And it's a superplex, a move that we've seen a million times. But the way that they sell it and they tell that story, just in the effort, like you said, man, and the passion that they tell it in. I don't care what language it's in. It's just so dope to listen to. But I said the viewers will watch this sometime during the week when they get to my Lions Break Collision 4 episode. There's going to be a New Japan show, New Japan Strong, coming. So there's going to be more Kevin Kelly on there. Don't know what the context of the show is going to be or who's going to be on it. But I hope it's more of Kevin Kelly solo.
Yeah,
honestly, that's really what I want to see. But yeah, he's one of my least favorite announcers just because of the narrative part. It's just the tone is so like I said, like today when I listened to him on Sengoku Lord, I was like, this is different. All right, okay, but like 20 something years on the mic, and it's just the same tone, and I don't know, just doesn't. I don't know. I don't get it.
Well, you know, I hope everybody enjoyed our little debate and conversation about play-by-play and color commentary, and now we can get to the show.
It's one of those things. We're here on J News Japan, and we're here to talk about the Sengoku Lord that was live in Nagoya yesterday. We had, how many matches was in this show? About 5 matches, 6, 7, 7, yeah. 7 matches. 7 matches deep. So let's get to the first match here. SP3, we had former IWGP Jr Heavyweight Champion Taiji Ishimori of the Bullet Club versus Young Lion, the strapping young lad himself, Yu Uemura. This match lasted about 8 minutes. Taiji Ishimori got the win here with the Yes Lock, as they put it on the website. It is the Yes Lock now. And
I'm watching with my girl, and I'm like telling her, I'm like trying to like, I was like, I don't know what other move to call it, but the Yes Lock. Yeah.
I mean, originally it was the LaBelle Lock, but you know, Daniel Bryan took over the world at one point, so the Yes Lock is what it became. You know, it was more show and prove for Yu and more, man. I mentioned this in one of my Lions Break Collision reviews and previous reviews of New Japan stuff. People think that this guy's going to be a star, man. And we've talked about it, as a matter of fact, as well. And it continues to show, you know, versus the heavyweights, versus the New Japan dads, now versus one of the top junior heavyweights in the division. It's like, this guy can show and prove. And you know, I think sooner rather than later, we're going to see him out of those black trunks. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of the win-loss record at this point, is just understanding his presence, his athletic ability, and what his potential ceiling can be in the future. Your thoughts, SP3?
I just like this dude. Like, you could tell he has a lot of energy. Whenever he's in the ring, he just brings a whole lot of energy. There's a lot of sharpness to his strikes. The way he moves, there's a type of smoothness that you don't usually see in the Young Lions, that it makes me very much look forward to when he takes his excursion and he can kind of learn different styles, because he's very much into the Japanese New Japan strong style. So if he can go out into, like, take an excursion into Ring of Honor, or take an excursion into AAA or CMLL, I think it's going to give him a world of opportunity to kind of improve even more. But he showed a lot of talent here. I just felt he didn't get a lot in here. I felt like this was more of a squash than I usually get from these opening Young Lion versus established talent type of matches. But later on in the show, it would make sense why they put over Ishimori so strong.
Yeah. I would say this. I think just commentary and me forecasting into the future and stuff like that. The hope for me, from an overall standpoint, as a wrestling fan, AEW and New Japan need to mend whatever fences and bridges that they have that are blown up right now. Because I don't want to see Hiromu take a U.S. excursion to ROH. I'd rather see him be on Dark and get some exposure that way. If he's going to go to the U.S., and if he's going to go to Mexico, cool. But if he gets U.S. exposure, dude, either him being on whatever LA Dojo kind of show that they do would be cool, but him being on AEW Dark or even having a match or two on freaking Dynamite would be ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? And that's my hope for him in the future, if he gets some sort of exposure in the U.S. and for others in New Japan as well. As a wrestling fan, if people from AEW watch our True Heel Heat shows at all, I'll say this and I'll put it onto the freaking universe. Yo, mend the freaking fences, build the freaking bridge. You know what I'm saying? We need the wrestling community to come together. Everybody can make money. Everybody can be freaking happy. Let's do this damn thing and put everybody on fucking TV and let's go beat Vinnie Mac. And
let's team together and take down the conglomerate.
That's the only way to do it, man. I've been saying it for years. I think it's the only way to freaking do it, and I think we're primed for it now with as much wrestling as there is and good wrestling as there is. I think that we're primed for it. And obviously, it gives young lions more exposure and to other things and obviously other cultures and stuff and other styles, as you said before. So that's my hope in general. But Hiromu is one of the young lions that are in New Japan now. The stable of them, these guys over the last, I would say, 4 or 5 years of all the young lions that I've seen, my favorites so far out of the last 4 or 5 years, because these guys all seem like they can do something and make their mark in some way or fashion. And I think this next match, as a matter of fact, is going to prove my point a little even further. So the second match had a 6-man tag here. The hodgepodge team of Taguchi, Kojima, and Makabe versus Young Lion, Gabriel Kidd, and members of Chaos, Toru Yano, and Tomohiro Ishii. This match lasted about 10.5 minutes. The team of Makabe, Kojima, and Taguchi won. Makabe hit the German suplex on Gabriel Kidd. SP, I'll let you start this one off. What were your thoughts on this match? How do you think it went?
I really enjoyed Gabriel Kidd in this. Like I said before, I watched most of this with the love of my life, and she's a big into like the UK scene. So immediately when she saw Gabriel Kidd, she was like, "Oh, I know him!" Like she was more into it. Like there was a lot of energy to it, and Gabriel Kidd was responsible for that. And I feel like in my opinion, he had a kind of a standout performance. Like he was the standout performer to me in this match. His exchanges with Makabe at the end kind of really took this match from being okay, like the opener, to like pretty good. It was a pretty good matchup that he showed a lot of energy in, and it was a match that from the outset I wasn't really interested in, but the work between him and then the post match between him and Makabe really kind of sucked you into his story as a young lion. But I will disagree with you, because as a fan of New Japan for the past 5-6 years, you gotta understand, you've been along with the ride with me. We've seen guys like Evil, Jay White, Hiromu Takahashi, Juice Robinson. All those guys have been young lions in our time watching New Japan.
So I guess the more detailed explanation would be, we knew Juice from NXT, right?
Yes.
So we also knew Jay outside of the Young Lion program and stuff like that. Jay White, before he entered the Young Lion program, was still an indie wrestler over in the UK and New Zealand and stuff like that before he entered the Young
Lion. My introduction to Jay White wasn't from there. It was from New Japan.
Oh,
Because
okay.
when he came over to ROH, that was my whole thing. I was like, oh, he's just going on his excursion, and then they gave him a really good push in ROH when he came over. I think he had like the time limit draw against Jay Briscoe in his first match, and they like I would say the best class of Young Lions was the Young Lion class that had Juice, Jay White, and Hiromu Takahashi all at once. Like that's three of the top guys in New Japan today.
The thing I guess the reason as to why I feel like I'm so invested in the group of guys that are there now is that I watched from the start of their journey. Like with the other guys, I was in between. Like with Hiromu, the first time I watched Hiromu hit the ring was after his excursion was over.
Okay.
I didn't even know. And then I had watched Jay in like the UK and some Australian stuff or whatever the case is, and other indies in Australia and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, this is a young dude or whatever. And then we went to that ROH show where him and Will Ospreay tore the freaking house down. Still one of the best matches I ever experienced in person. So credit to Jay White. And like I said, we've seen Juice since his days in NXT and stuff like that. But with these guys, it's like there's been other classes of Young Lions the last 2 years, I want to say, right? And all those guys have kind of disappeared, right?
Yeah.
They're off an excursion and stuff like that, but there hasn't been any real rumblings about them outside of Shota Umino. Shota Umino is like next level. He's gonna be a freaking star, but he's stuck in the UK.
Dude, if I saw him live at Rev Pro, and I was blown away by the difference of how he looked. He looked like a young Tanahashi with like his attire and everything, how he's kind of like trimmed down, got the cuts a little bit. So I was like, is this the shooter? I was like, I marked out for the shooter, and everyone in the crowd was really into him in the UK even. So shooter's got a lot of future. But the one young lion that I'm very interested in was a guy that was getting like the big push out of all the young lions. I think 2 years ago is Kitamura. Where the hell is he? Like, we haven't heard anything about Kitamura. Like, we got Master Wato coming back, but Master Wato was in the same class as Kitamura, and Kitamura won the Young Lion Cup, and then he went on his excursion, and we haven't heard anything from him since.
Man. So that's why it's like, the disappearing act of the other guy, of the other Young Lions from the classes the last couple of years. Like, we're like Toa Hanare. We know who Toa Hanare is. He was a Young Lion within the last 2 years as well. Like you said, man, like there's certain guys who've just disappeared off the face of the planet, and with the current crop, there's other guys who are part of the current crop, like Ren Narita or dude, that dude. He, like I told you, he impressed me the day he stepped into a ring, and I haven't seen him in months. And I know he was supposed to go to the LA dojo and stuff like that, or whatever. But to continue to talk about this match, my thoughts on it, Gabe Kidd. I felt throughout since lockdown, right? I felt like he was a little, like he was the young lion who was lost in the sauce a bit, right? Like he would come into the ring, he would shoot into the ring, he'd try to bring that energy, but he didn't necessarily stand out as much as Tsuji and as much as Uemura did. But when I watched him and Sengoku Lord, and I watched him get at Maccabee, I was like, all right. Now we're getting it. Now we're getting that fire. Now he's adapting to the strong style, and now he's getting into it. And it's good to see, because it's all about us watching them grow, us watching them start to get it after a while. And that's what this match was to me. Him starting to get it, him starting to find his bearings and stuff like that, and hopefully it'll turn into a good future for him coming up in the coming months. Match number 3. I didn't know what to make of this match, to be honest, right? I think we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago when we did our unified roundtable about these tag matches getting to be a little bit much after a while. It's cool. I understand guys need their reps and they need to stay fresh. But when there aren't, or when there isn't much storyline behind what's going on in the tag matches, I lose interest, right? So this is a match between Los Ingobernables de Japón and Chaos. And I wasn't invested necessarily, right? I watched New Japan Road and I saw Tetsuya Naito for the first time in years, it seemed like he was floundering and whatnot. This match had him do the majority of the work. I was like, all right, so if he's doing the necessary work here, he's trying to build himself back up. He's in the action now. Something's gonna happen later. I was right. But it's like, okay, so we're still shorthanded, right? We're still not using Sonata, right? As a heavyweight. Naito's is back in Evil's face eventually. LIJ won this match over Chaos. Sonata hit Skull End over Show. This is 2 straight wins for Sonata in tag matches, right? So I guess they're trying to sweep. They're trying to put this under the rug with Sonata getting these wins, right? So Sonata getting these wins. I'm not sure. That's just the way I want to be positive about Sonata's run at this point. And out of the members of Chaos, there wasn't much for me to say about the members of Chaos. I'm a fan of Goto. Yoshi-Hashi's like a throwaway for me for whatever reason, even though he's been better as of late, to be honest. And Show's been a favorite since lockdown, on his own, right? Because we've been watching shit, man. I mentioned this in one of my individual reviews, how we went to a random ROH show here and we saw them on Excursion, right? It was showing before Roppongi 3K, and to see him where he's at now is so dope. And I don't know what they're gonna do with him now, right? Because he's not feuding with Takagi, right? He doesn't have a tag partner. Is he gonna be a Super Junior, right? Because the way they were, this I did notice about during the match, the way him and Bushi were going at it was really competitive. So I said to myself, okay, maybe they'll build something between him and Bushi, and maybe this will gear up the junior division a little bit and whatnot. But I'm not sure because they don't really pay much attention to anything else outside of the 2 straps right now. But what was your take on this match?
I enjoyed parts of it because I just feel LIJ is the best trios tandem in New Japan Pro Wrestling. It doesn't matter which members of LIJ you put in there, the smoothness in which they do those triple team moves, the double team moves, the way they move in the ring, it just makes it entertaining. But I will give you props for your take that this match was a little bit jarring at first, because I thought the whole purpose of the whole Evil heel turn and him winning the IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental straps was to firmly establish LIJ as baby faces. Mm-hmm. Now they're back in the same role that they were before as tweeners, where you could put them in against the Bullet Club, you could put them in against Suzuki-gun, and then here they're once again against Chaos. I understand that it's a limited roster, but I would have probably been into this a little bit more if it was a little bit thrown off that they were playing the heels in this match, and even after the match attacking the referee, which is fun and I love seeing it. And listening to Kevin Kelly, he baby faced this by saying oh the referee was trying to stop Naito from doing something, and he tried to baby face it, but it's still them attacking a referee, which is fun for us. We're heels, we're the true heels, so we enjoyed it. But I don't know if it translates to the Japanese crowd as baby faces.
Yeah, it didn't come off that way. Like you said, it just came off like their usual. They're back to normal tweener selves and stuff, especially after the attack on the ref. Even though I know it's Naito having fun and stuff like that, it's like, all right, so it's more of the same. So I'm not necessarily.
And I also feel like Naito should not be having fun right now.
Yeah, no.
Naito, there should have been a significant change in Naito coming off of Dominion, and I've watched the New Japan Road, I've watched this show, and there hasn't been any change, which lead me to kind of have conflicted feelings on what happens at the end of the night.
Yeah. I'll agree with you there. I'll go on to this next match, if you can call this a match. It was a 10-man tag, something we don't usually see in New Japan, for that matter. It's usually 8-man at most, but this was a 5-on-5. So we had the hodgepodge team here of Master Wato, Hiroyoshi Tenzan, the legend Yuji Nagata, Kota Ibushi, and Hiroshi Tanahashi versus a team almost the entire Suzuki-gun roster. So it was Kevin Kelly calls him Doki. We call him Dookie. Yoshinobu Kanemaru, Minoru Suzuki, Zack Sabre Jr., and Tai Chi. The only thing I was looking forward to in this match was to see how hard Minoru Suzuki and Yuji Nagata were going to hit each other. That's all I was looking forward to seeing in this match at all. Listen, Kanemaru is a better wrestler than Dookie, obviously 24 years in the business. Having him, I think we all agreed that it should have been either Kanemaru or Despy to be Wato's first opponent. Because being that Dookie's such still like a non-branded guy in New Japan, it would have just been, he would have been better off facing Kanemaru or Despy in a match first. But you know, they tried to continue to develop that little rivalry between Kanemaru and Wato. Hiroyoshi Tenzan was just in the match to be in the match, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
And there wasn't really much to anything else between the Dangerous Tekkers and Ibushi and Tanahashi. There really wasn't. So I feel like the match was more of a... They should have just had Suzuki versus Nagata, period, I think.
Yeah.
And that's what my thought was, and I usually don't check the cards right after I watch a show, but I should. I think I should. I'll start to make that more of a practice because I didn't figure that there was going to be a 10-man tag in this show at all. What did you think about this match?
I thought this was the better of all the multi-man matches that we saw on the card. It was just fun. It was a lot of fun, and we already know all these established stories going on in it. So this match kind of felt more like this was Sengoku Lord is not one of their major pay-per-views. It's not like Dominion. It's not even one of like the lower ones like New Japan Cup Finals or G1 Climax Finals. It's nothing like that. It's like a C-level show, but you want it to feel like it's one of those major shows, and the amount of storylines going on in this between the Dangerous Tekkers and the Golden Aces, Nagata and Suzuki, Wato and Kanemaru, there was a whole bunch of established stories in here that made it a lot of fun and made you invest in it. And pretty much the highlight for me was Nagata and Suzuki battling it out, and I'm going to watch your review of New Japan Road because I only caught a couple of matches from it, but I did caught Suzuki's backstage interview where he firmly established that he wants another match with Nagata, and I want you to have another match with Nagata, Suzuki.
Very true. We all want that. I said it in my review. The viewers will watch it sometime during the week. That was one of Kevin Kelly's favorite matches of the New Japan Cup. It was one of my favorite matches of the New Japan Cup. Kevin Kelly said it best. These are two 52-year-old men, right? Battling it out and showing people that strong style is here, tried and true, and here to stay. And I also made, it's a slight to Western and American wrestling, but it just shows, right? Different lifestyles, different countries. 52-year-old men in Japan can still do what they do, but 52-year-old men in the U.S. can't really by majority. If you take it, guys at 52 who've been wrestling for 20, 30 plus years aren't in that kind of shape. They don't move like that. They're worse off conditioned by majority when we watch them. So it's like, the lifestyles are just different.
Yeah, and you have to look at it from the standpoint of in American promotions like the WWE, or even if you go years back, WCW, these guys are wrestling 250 to 300 days out of the year, and it doesn't give them time to recover their body in juxtaposition to New Japan, where a guy like Nagata is going to work maybe 50 to 60 times in the entire year, and in those amount of times he's wrestling a singles match maybe 10, 15 singles matches out of the past couple of years. For Nagata, out of a whole year, like, he has so much left in the tank. This guy can wrestle until he's 60.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, I think it's more of a lifestyle thing, right? It's more of a cultural thing. In that aspect, cultural, just it being Japanese compared to American, and the same thing, cultural from American promotions to Japanese promotions, how they run their shows, how many shows they run per year, and stuff like that. So I think that looking forward to Minoru Suzuki versus Yuji Nagata, right? Who would have thunk it, right? us going for the New Japan Dads match. That's what we want to see, but that's what we want to see, you know.
But it also looks like we're gonna get another Dangerous Tekkers versus Golden Aces tag team title match.
You know what's interesting? I mentioned this in my New Japan Road review. It seems that Kevin Kelly was talking about the potential of Kojima and Tenzan going after those tag belts as well. So he started to build that fervor for those guys going after the straps. So which is why when I was watching this match, I was watching to see if there was really going to be any more intensity and fervor between Ibushi and Tanahashi and the Dangerous Tekkers. And when there wasn't, I was like, oh, so they might be going away from this and leading towards something else. But you're right. There's probably going to be some sort of a rematch, and I would think that the Dangerous Tekkers would win that match and stuff like that. But
well, I think it was more like the post match. I think Tanahashi challenged them for a rematch, and Zack Sabre Jr. went by the announce team and said, "Find us new challengers."
Yeah. At New Japan Road, he even tried, and I said this. He was getting in Ibushi's head, telling Ibushi he needs a new partner and stuff like that, because Tanahashi's he's no good. So he was planting those seeds of doubt in Ibushi's head. So there's still psychology in professional wrestling when done correctly. All right, so we're gonna start out. We're gonna do this fifth match of the night, right? The special singles match of the night between the Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada and the Tokyo Pimp himself, Yujiro Takahashi. Now, we came up with a catchphrase during our panel discussion, our roundtable discussion about Yujiro Takahashi. Yujiro, we don't care if Peter's not there. And at the end of the day, even though this match went about 14 minutes or so, the same thing still arose to me. I didn't care because Peter wasn't there. When I was watching New Japan Road, Kevin Kelly said Yujiro Takahashi is one of the most talented guys on the roster. And I thought to myself, Kevin Kelly, you know what? You're supposed to put guys over. You got to protect the boys in the back and in the locker room. And hey, I'm not one to judge. That man went through the dojo system. He put in the work. You're probably absolutely right. He's probably one of the most talented guys in the ring. But I don't see it, brother. It's not on my TV. It doesn't come through his matches. It just doesn't. Okay? Easy win for Okada in this match. Easy win. Even though there was interference from Gato in this match, threw in a literal wrench during the match. Yujiro used his pimp stick, his pimp cane, at one point to attack Okada, but nothing, because nothing like that ever beats the Rainmaker. Okada is still the king of all of New Japan Pro without the straps. One of our viewers made a point about this particular match in the comments during the week, where he said that their rivalry goes back about 5 years since Yujiro appeared and he unveiled himself as a member of the Bullet Club during Okada and AJ Styles match. Now, this is the second time I'm going to make mention of this. Not to say that it's not important, because obviously in New Japan, long-term storytelling is their bread and butter. But as a person who understands trends and how modern-day society works and how fans are so fickle nowadays, how many fans are going to care that this feud is 5 years old? How many fans are going to go back into the New Japan archives and watch this? Granted, right, they did put the video package on during the beginning of the show and then before the match happened. So it catches everyone up. But to me, it's like, well, okay, 5 years ago this happened, and he's still holding on to this goddamn grudge. Like, you ain't get over this shit yet, man. Like, come on now.
5 years ago this happened, and he hasn't seemed to care since. Yeah, he didn't care until you cost him something else. But
right. Good.
I'm happy that this match was only 14 minutes long because, with Okada, I've said this on our previous roundtables. Okada is known for his epics, and he loves his 20-plus minute matches, but this wasn't the place for that. But even with 14 minutes, I'm sorry, I was not interested in this match. I'm not interested in this feud. So 14 minutes is way too long. If this was an 8-minute, if you trimmed off 5 minutes and this is an 8 to 9 minute match, I would have been into this a lot more. I feel like Yujiro Takahashi is one of the more charismatic wrestlers in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he's one of the nicest that I've met from the New Japan roster.
Super nice.
Super nice, humble type of guy. Okada is the GOAT, like I've said before on True Heel Heat, but goddamn, Okada, I get it. I put out this opinion and someone responded to me, Okada is trying to save the Rainmaker to be special. And, it's similar to how Tanahashi back in 2018 in the G1, he didn't use the high-five flow until the finals because he's trying to save his knees. Okay, Tanahashi won matches with cool, innovative roll-ups, or he was using the Texas Cloverleaf. He was using unique things. This money clip, as they're calling it now, this Cobra Clutch that he's using, throw it in the bin, bro. Throw it in the freaking bin because it's the worst headlock finisher I've ever seen. Like, it's just like, dude, like, I was over it when it made Hiromu pass out in the New Japan Cup, but watching a match where the whole match is built around this finisher, it's just like, bro, the cool name. I will give him credit because Kevin Kelly built up the name so much. He's like, when it happens, I'll unveil the name. And then when he said it, I was like, okay, money clip, that made sense. The Rainmaker, Let It Rain, all that made sense. But when the name is better than the actual move, I feel like that's a problem.
It's just a standing version of the Anaconda Vice, honestly. And look, man. We're always gonna give Okada his due, right? He is the man who took New Japan to new heights in the 2010s. But yeah, this match was so unnecessary, so unnecessary. But yet again, I think the understanding is we know it's a shortened roster. We understand they have to make do with what they have. But like you said, man, no interest in this match. And the finish, the finish, like from a tombstone into the money clip, like the tombstone was enough, dog. Like, what are you doing? It's over.
You didn't need any money clip after that,
man. I was like, yo, like, what was going on? And yet again, to my earlier point, look, man, I don't doubt that Yujiro Takahashi is a talented wrestler, but it just doesn't look like it. And I'm not. Look, it's what was it? I'm not. Ness put out there when we did our roundtable that he's like into the high flyer guys and stuff like that, and he likes the high spots. I can really care less for that. I want intensity. I want some ferocity out of you. I want style out of you. I don't get any of that out of Yujiro Takahashi. None of that. I get more of that out of Yoshihashi than I do out of Yujiro Takahashi. And Yujiro's, he's been considered this like slept on talent for all this time. And it's like, dude, but when are we gonna see it? When are we gonna see it?
I got a hot take right now.
Yeah.
That fire and that passion, I hate to say this, but we haven't seen it in Okada since the return of New Japan. Like,
sure.
it just doesn't seem like the same Okada, whether that's the fact that he was wrestling in front of no people in the New Japan Cup, and right now he's wrestling in front of not that many people, but he was put into a spot in the main event of the New Japan Cup finals, and I felt like he did not deliver a great matchup with Evil. I mean, he delivered a good match, but it could have been better, and this match, yeah, it just wasn't there for me. I wasn't feeling it, and I want my Okada back, and whether that's doing the Rainmaker again or hitting the drop kick at the perfect time. I feel like he hasn't even done that since his return. Like when he would hit the drop kick, I remember being at G1 Supercard last year in Madison Square Garden, and 20 minutes into the match with Jay White, people around us are going crazy, they're going wild, they're thinking when Okada goes for a Rainmaker that he's about to hit it, and I tell him, I'm like, no, he hasn't hit the drop kick yet. And then the dude in the next 5 minutes hits like 4 drop kicks in a row, and we mark out for each and every one of them. I haven't felt that. I haven't felt that anticipation for the drop kick, the anticipation for the tombstone. The signature stuff from Okada just doesn't seem to hit like that, and it hasn't hit like that since this whole pandemic started, and I want my Okada back.
It's interesting, man. It's interesting that you say that. A lot of people might not like what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it. That fire, you say it's been gone since lockdown. No, sir. No, sir. It's been gone since Kenny Omega left.
Oh, I can't agree with that, because like I said, the G1 Supercard match was awesome.
It was good, man. It was good, but that level of 5, 6, 7-star Okada quality hasn't been there since the cleaner was in that company.
I can't agree. This is the man. January 4th and 5th, he put on top 5 matches of this year. Against Ibushi and then against Naito. Those are both 5-star matches in my eyes. Uncle David, he gave him 5.5 and 5 stars individually, but those are 2 of the best matches I've seen this year. So I could say it's been since this whole lockdown has transpired that I feel like that passion isn't there. But I guess what you're saying is other level GOAT Okada has been gone since Omega's been gone.
Yeah. I think that's really what I'm saying and stuff like that. Look, the guy can wrestle a good quality match with his eyes closed. He just can. He's that good. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna what the Cage say during Dynamite. He's gonna, not Dynamite, but he said it during the freaking podcast. He's gonna get his shit in. That's what he's gonna do. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna get his shit in. He's gonna look good, and that's about it. But you're absolutely right. That anticipation. He has one of the prettiest drop kicks in all of professional wrestling. Like, how can you say, well, how's drop kick pretty? Watch Kazuchika Okada perform a drop kick, and you'll understand why a drop kick can be pretty. Then you go watch John Cena try to hit a drop kick, and then you tell me what pretty looks like. You know what I'm saying? So
I have said it once, I'll say it again. The greatest drop kick in professional wrestling history is Kazuchika Okada.
I think that you'll hold on to that. You'll hold on to that one. He's top 2 for me. He's there. He's top 2.
Who's there with them? Bob Holly?
No, I think Uncle Allen, AJ Styles is pretty much up there for me, because I've watched AJ all these freaking years. It's like every time he can pop up and hit a drop kick out of nowhere.
I feel like Styles has that sequence where he hits that drop kick, but Okada can get that drop kick in any type of sequence. So that's why Okada is better than him. AJ needs the drop down, leapfrog, then it's leapfrog, drop down, then drop kick. That's the AJ Styles signature drop kick. While Okada it could be out of nowhere. It could be 20 minutes into the match. It could be 5 minutes into the match. The guy could be sitting on the top rope and get the drop kick. He could be running to him and get he can hit it from anywhere.
But they're pretty drop kicks, man. It's interesting to say it, because there's guys who do a lot of the same moves, right? And some guys, their style brings out, like, it accentuates their moves even more. And the way that Okada does drop kicks, AJ Styles, Bob Holly had a great one. You're absolutely right about that. Bob Holly had a great one. Like I've talked about the way that Carl Fredericks does his on Lines Break Collision and stuff like that.
Randall Keefe is another one, especially
because he doesn't pull it out, right? So when he does it, it's like, oh, that was nice. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's a nice one. Of the new kids, even though we always downplay them, right? Wato does have a nice drop kick.
He does.
His leaping ability is freakish. So he hits it very nicely. But as we tangented, because this match didn't really say anything to us, we went into pretty drop kicks, and we need to get into this other.
That's the next countdown coming to you.
We're here on the sixth match of the night. To me, this match cemented everything you and I have been talking about for the last several weeks. We had the match for the Never Openweight Championship. It was Shingo Takagi versus El Desperado of Suzuki-gun. Let's get the finish out of the way here, or the result. Shingo Takagi, his third defense, he won this match against El Desperado. But the reason as to why I say that it cemented everything that we've been talking about the last couple of weeks is because El Desperado did exactly what I thought he was going to do. Finally gave him time to perform, go about and put to use that wrestling skill that we don't get to see him put to use the majority of the time. And dude, just having Desperado be the wrestler to literally inflict pain on Shingo Takagi makes a difference, right? Because Takagi he's not a grandiose no seller, but he's a tough guy, right? Yeah. So for someone to inflict pain on Takagi, like, we watched the match between Sho and Takagi, but Sho wasn't inflicting pain on Takagi. They were one-upping each other. Desperado inflicted pain on Takagi. That was different. And I was like, oh shit, yo, Despy got a shot here. He's blowing up this knee. He's screwing this knee. He's doing all these heel movement, all these heel moves, all these heel tactics in the ring. It was like, yo, shit, he really has a shot at winning this match. Even though in the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, he ain't winning no damn belt. But at the end of the day, this is what I was looking for out of a singles match with El Desperado, giving him time. And finally, New Japan is like, all right, let's give this short roster some time. Give the guy some time. He's gonna show you what he's got, and he showed out well. I think, in my opinion, here, Takagi. Most Japanese wrestlers aren't necessarily known for their selling, right? But shit, he made this look and feel real to me.
Like, I was just watching this match, and I just asked myself in my head, what does Shingo not do great? Like, Shingo has a ridiculous moveset where he has about 4 moves that can finish you, whether it's Noshigami, Made in Japan, the Pumping Bomber, or Last of the Dragon. He can sell. He sold his ass off and made you really feel like Desperado was close to making him tap out with his submission finisher. And he just has the great look, the way he comes out, his entrance attire. That was another thing that watching with my girl that really stand out. Like, she loved the entrance attire for so many guys, and just seeing the presentation of all these characters for, she's not a big New Japan fan, she's not a hardcore fan like us, but she got into it by just the entrance attire and the presentation of these guys. And Shingo's one of those guys whose presentation just talks to you, whether you're a first time viewer, whether you're a long time viewer. And I just want to give it up for El Desperado. I've been a huge fan of his since 2018 with his Best of the Super Juniors match with Hiromu Takahashi, where I felt like he had one of the best matches of that entire entire tournament. And El Desperado has just improved and improved over the last 2 years from me watching. And he had that great match with Tomohiro Ishii, which really set up this opportunity for him, and he delivered here. This was a very good matchup where both guys looked better than they came going in, coming out of this, where Desperado can really hang his hat on this type of match, and he can continue in the never openweight division, or he can go back down to the junior heavyweight division and really be a top contender to Hiromu Takahashi. He can go either way right now, and I love that. I love that with New Japan, it's not really, a question of, okay, where does these guys go now? There's so many doors that can open coming out of a loss where a guy looks this strong, and I feel like El Desperado was one of those guys that delivered here. But Shingo, my hot take for this match is that Shingo, they talked about it a lot at the opening of this match during Shingo's entrance, but I would say, in my eyes, like I said, I've been watching New Japan for 5-6 years now, Shingo is a top 3 never open weight champion of all time.
Well, because and I do not disagree with you. The reason being, and I think this to explain this as best as I can, there are certain workers who make titles more important than what they have been, right? Guys like myself who've been watching wrestling since the 80s, we recall the greatness of Arn Anderson as the TV champion. Right? Yeah. You recall the greatness of Taz as ECW TV champion and FTW champion and eventually world champion, or whatever the case is.
RVD as ECW TV champion. Mr. Perfect as the Intercontinental champion. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The worker makes the belt, and you don't get a lot of that nowadays. Outside of, you might hate me saying this, but outside of Cody with the TNT belt, there isn't much else. No one really makes their belts that important. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to take away anything from AJ Styles. AJ Styles is a bona fide Hall of Famer. He's the Intercontinental champion. So what? You know what I'm saying? So it's and the U.S. champion on Raw is. I'm waiting.
The U.S. champion, I don't know, because it's very mysterious of if the person who has the original title is tested positive for anything, and the person with the new title, if he's actually the champion. But I would say with the Intercontinental title, the last person who made it important is The Miz about 2 years ago. The Miz went on a really great run with the Intercontinental title, and he made it a very important title. But to make those secondary titles important, it means a lot. And we've seen it before in New Japan with Shinsuke Nakamura. Shinsuke Nakamura is, I would say, the number one person responsible for the Intercontinental title being connected to the heavyweight title today, because he put it on that same level. Naito kind of took that torch and followed along with it and followed in that line, and that's what leads us to the IWGP dual gold today. And I would say past that, Kenny Omega kind of did that with his first run with the United States Championship, but that's kind of taken the downside. Moxley kind of brought some interest back to that, but now that he's gone, it's kind of taken the limelight away, and they don't really even mention it, it seems. So because of that, I feel like the never openweight title is getting a lot more attention, and Shingo's run with it has been very impressive. He's put on good to great matches. Like they said at the top of the show, he joins just, I think, 10 or 9 other guys in history that have 3 defenses with the title. But in my eyes, I think only Shibata and Ishii have had better never open weight runs and really became synonymous with that title like Shingo is right now.
Yeah, Shingo's put a star on that championship, and it's cool to see, because we have a double strap champion. We don't have an Intercontinental champion, and we don't have a heavyweight champion. We got guys with 2 belts and stuff like that. So it's important for that secondary belt there to get the limelight, and they have the right talent behind that strap right now currently. So we'll get to this last match here. It is the match of the night. I guess we can call this the match of the night, right?
Match of the night, and I'll just start off right here, and I'll say this, man. I tweeted this out, and I was just blown away because this is the one match that I watched live. I woke up early enough on Saturday morning, and I was just completely blown away. And it seemed like the rest of the Twitterverse, the wrestling community, agreed with me. Hiromu Takahashi got a better match out of Evil than the top 2 stars in New Japan, Tetsuya Naito and Kazuka Okada. Give this man his flowers. Give this man his shine. Like, he is the future of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he proved it in this match. This match was great. This was the first great match Evil has had at being a main eventer in New Japan.
I concur. I don't know if I can say any more than that. You've been talking to me about Hiromu Takahashi since ever since, right? And to see this match, to see it go half an hour, right? Because for the viewers out there, when I review a show, there's 2 things that I pay attention to first. I'll always check the runtime so that I know how long the show is going to be and when I'm going to record a review or podcast and stuff like that. And then secondly, I always check to see what the feel and what the sense is like at the beginning of the show and right before the main event, right? What feel do you get, right? And the feel that I got before this main event match, coming out of that last match between Takagi and Desperado, was a good feel. And I said to myself, okay, this match is going to either be just as good or better. And it was better, hands down. Hiromu, like you said, he deserves his flowers now, right? He got a match out of Evil that I said to myself, I counted 5 times during this match. 5 times during this match, I said to myself, why isn't Takahashi the champion right now? 5 times. 5 times I said to myself, I was like, the finisher after finisher after finisher, spot after spot after spot. And it's like, yo, he's keeping the spoiler, Dick Togo, at bay. You know what I'm saying? And he's battling Evil, and he wasn't besting him, but he was meeting him at the punch, and he was getting his shit in. And I was like, man, Takahashi looks great in this match. He ain't winning though. That, like, so it's like, because the story isn't there for that, right? The story isn't there for Takahashi to win. The story is Evil's the new captain of the ship. He's the new leader of the Bullet Club. He needs his reign of terror to be attached to these championships, right? So I said to myself, damn, man, he puts in all this work for this match, right? He put in all this goddamn work for then, and this might be a hot take, the match was great. After the finish, he gets smacked around by freaking Ishimori,
yeah,
right? And I'm there like, all right, so you're setting up the feud for the junior heavyweight championship or whatever the case is. I get it, but man, he just took your double champ to the edge, and you're gonna have the junior heavyweight contender smack him around after the match. Like, I know. He's got to drop the belt eventually. He'll put on the weight. He'll come back to Evil. They'll have another great match. I get it, man. I get it. I understand it. Don't sit here and think I don't get it. I get it, man. But damn, bro, this match. Who's gonna get better out of Evil, bro? Gonna get better out of Evil?
The bright side would be saying he needs his flowers right now is that he's still young. Yeah. That they can use him as the main event junior heavyweight. And I feel like, you got so many summer struggle shows coming up that easily Ishimori versus Takahashi could main event one of them, and no one would blink. No one would blink because these guys tore down the house and had one of the best matches in all of professional wrestling in 2018 with their Best of the Super Juniors finals. I still remember Hiromu taking bump after bump on the stairs at Corrigan Hall, and it's just, that was one of the more memorable matches of that year. This one, it was just, I love what you said. Like, he just tried to throw out all the Bullet Club interference throughout this whole thing, whether it was the senton off the top rope down to the floor onto the whole pile of young lions, Dick Togo and the rest of everybody. Then him doing the sunset power bomb and Dick Togo trying to stop him, but he power bombs Evil into Dick Togo. Like, it was just great how even like Kevin Kelly was like off camera, he didn't even see Dick Togo on the apron, but Hiromu met Dick Togo as soon as he got on the apron, knocked him down. But I loved how, and this is why I said I have to give it up to Kevin Kelly. He did such a great job that he just got angrier as the match went on because Dick Togo kept getting involved, and like literally at one point Kevin Kelly is just like, does LIJ have some type of deal in Pat that's like they can't interfere in each other's matches? Like,
I mentioned that during the New Japan Cup. Every time any of the LIJ members came out for their singles matches, they were never flanked by anyone. They always go out there solo. That's their thing. That's what they do, you know, because they can show and prove on their own. Look, man, I feel like I don't know what's going to happen with these Summer Struggle shows, right? Because there's going to be a lot of them coming into the grand outdoor arena show that will happen on August 29th. Like you said, easily Hiromu and Ishimori can headline one of those Summer Struggle shows and stuff like that. But this match in particular, what Hiromu Takahashi was able to get out of Evil in this match, I said to myself, yeah, they got the strap on the wrong guy. I was like, the strap on the wrong guy.
One thing I will say is that I feel I won't say they put the strap on the wrong guy, but I will say for the post match, the wrong guy came out to confront Evil.
So let's talk about this, right? So earlier, LIJ wins their match, right? I said Naito put in the effort. He carried the match by majority. He was in the ring doing his thing, right? And Sonata gets the win, right? I say to myself, all right, maybe Naito comes out and he flanks Hiromu to the ring. Didn't happen, right? He shows up afterwards, gets in Evil's face, cuts a promo. He wants a rematch with Evil, essentially, right? That's what we're gathering.
Yeah.
Here, but you're absolutely right. And you know where I'm going with this, all right? You know where I'm going with this. God damn it, Naito shouldn't have been the member of LIJ who came down in that ring. That's right. He shouldn't have been, because Naito's no longer the man, right? Sonata should have been the one to come down to that ring, get in Evil's face, and get the new, fresh storyline bubbling, right? So, because at the end of the day, if you're going to put the straps back on Okada or Naito, we're back at the same place we've been in for the last 4 or 5 years running, right? And I feel like that was the perfect opportunity. You're slipping these wins under the rug with Sonata, right? And it's like, oh, okay, so at least he's winning, right? But
yeah.
It would have been even an even bigger deal if he would have came out, gotten in Evil's face. He probably couldn't have said nothing and just gotten in Evil's face and just pointed to his ass and been like, "You're next." You know what I'm saying?
It just felt too soon to go back to Naito, and like I said, like there hasn't been any change to Naito for us to be excited about another round with Evil, whereas they kind of talked about it on commentary when I'm listening to Kevin Kelly during the 6-man with LIJ. You know, Sonata just lost his tag team partner. He just lost the guy that was the first guy to be brought into LIJ, and like I said, the bigger question coming out of Dominion was how the rest of the members of LIJ reacted to Evil turning heel, and we needed more of that. We needed to see Sonata come out and challenge Evil, and I'm not even saying for Sonata to beat Evil. I want Evil to win that match. I want Evil to kind of go through Hiromu, kind of go through Sonata. You can have a tag match where he pins Bushi, and then we can have finally him and Naito again. And you know, it kind of seems like they're gonna go back to Naito, but it just felt too soon right here.
Yeah, it did, and I like, you know, we're saying this out of the pure consensus of analysis of the match, right, or analysis of what happened and stuff like that. It would just make more sense in that way. But you know, I guess Naito needs his rematch, right? They're big on rematches in New Japan, so the rematch versus Naito and Evil will probably come to a head at this big outdoor show happening on August 29th. So that means that all
And
these and struggle shows will be a whole bunch of tag team matches and stuff like that. So viewers, please don't be pissed off at me if I'm not completely incensed about all these matches, because I do get tired of these tag matches, for God's sakes.
you might want to have to just do like a couple of the shows together as one review. Like
know,
don't even do
you know,
separate ones.
I think I'm going to take your advice there, man. To be quite honest, because that doing the show by show thing and doing all these damn tag team matches is going to kill me. And I'm going to start taking these notes and writing these results down, because it's like, oh Jesus, another tag match, another tag match. Come on, guys. Come on. Like,
Give me something else. Like, come on. But overall, I just felt the show was pretty good. It was pretty good. It was nice to, it felt kind of too soon after like Dominion, because I'm used to kind of having a break after Dominion, like a couple of week break. So to come back maybe 2 weeks later was a kind of jarring at first, but it was for what it was pretty good. It wasn't a 7 out of 10 like I kind of would have gave Dominion. It was more of like a 5.5, 6 out of 10 type of show.
sure, no, I agree with you there. I'd say 6 out of 10 for the show myself. We'll continue to watch the entire roster on every show, right? There was not one man who's not on the current roster right now who did not have a match on this show outside of Yota Tsuji and stuff like that, who's a young lion.
Well, Yoto Tsuji and I believe one other had gotten into contact with someone who had the virus, so New Japan, as a precautionary measure,
Right.
kept them away.
That makes sense. Now, for viewers who don't understand or who don't know, I don't read dirt sheets. I don't do any of that. I'm not a podcast listener and stuff like that. I watch these shows as a fan as much as you do. It's just that I have this sense, this mind for analysis and stuff like that, and I like to make sense, rational sense of these stories. We all watch movies. We all watch TV shows. We all have some sort of entertainment hobby or thing that we follow. So stuff's got to make sense, folks, right? So I try to put two and two together, as the saying goes. But now that I'm aware that Yota Tsuji came in contact with somebody who had COVID, that kind of like it. Like for me in my head, I'm not clairvoyant. Obviously, I can't tell the future. I don't know what the hell's going on. But it's like, well, he's not around the ring and he's not at the show. Something happened. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Something happened.
Hey, at least New Japan puts out that information.
Yeah.
Not every company does.
Right. No, hey, man. We're living in an age where information is key, right? And whereas to be as transparent as possible is the most accepted thing in the world right now. And when you hide stuff, when you try the tomfoolery, the haberdashery, if you like to say, it just don't work no more, man. It just don't work, man. So it'll be. I got 3 shows to watch. So it's Struggle today, Struggle tomorrow, Struggle Tuesday. Then they take a break up until the weekend again, and we'll see what develops throughout the storylines there. I guess with more fans being in attendance, right? Gates are larger. Guys are probably going to end up getting more, getting paid better now with the gates being larger and stuff like that. The reason as to why I mentioned that is because it's important for guys to get paid for the stuff that they do, right? Cats can't be out there putting their lives on the line and not and do this shit for free, right?
Facts.
And a lot of us always want our entertainment instantaneously. We want that instant gratification, and we always fail to realize, these guys are doing the exact same thing that we're doing when we're either going to work or trying to go outside. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to protect ourselves and protect one another. They're trying to do the same thing. So I'm glad that there's more fans in the stands now. Guys are starting to get their regular pay now, or more or less close to it. and they're able to wrestle in front of crowds. I don't know. I think by the time that the big show for the 29th comes around, we might be at 100% capacity if everything continues to go smoothly in Japan.
I mean, I don't think it's going to be at 100% capacity, but I think the reason why they're doing the stadium is to have the opportunity to get more fans in there with the space.
Or at least, probably at least near the 80%, I would say, because they have the spacing for it.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a big show regardless. So, whatever they do with all these New Japan Summer Struggle shows and how these storylines develop, I'll be bringing it to you guys here on J News Japan. As per the usual, we are going to do another round table a discussion about this large event that is going down on the 29th of August. So look forward to that as well, folks. Sid, anything else you might want to say to the viewers out there in the wrestling land?
Nothing. Guys know where to catch me. I am here every weekend on True Heel Heat talking about all your latest news, whether it's from New Japan, whether it's from AEW, WWE, Impact Wrestling, ROH. We do it all. True Heel Heat, and every Monday or Tuesday on True Rewind. So check us out, and of course, support the good brother J News Japan. This guy is very knowledgeable. He teaches us some things about New Japan. So I know the viewers at home, he's teaching you a couple of things about New Japan and the history of Japanese professional wrestling. So I thank him very much for welcoming me on for Sengoku Lord.
Well, folks, as you heard it here from him. It's always going to be him. SP3. It's been your good brother, J News. We got to get the hell up out of here. It's hot in New York, folks. It's hot. You see Sid sweating. I'm uncomfortable right now. we gotta make this. We gotta cut this one short. So as always, folks, make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe down below. Take care. Be good. Stay safe out there. Continue to treat one another well. And as always, stay wrestling fans. We out this bitch.
Peace.